Welcome to your next lesson on invitations and stationery. In this lesson, we'll go over when to send your invitations, what information you will need to put on them, some accessories that go with the invitation etiquette, and how to dress them. First, let's go over when to send them. The sooner, the better. Obviously, this goes without saying. You never want to wait until the last minute to get your invitations out if you want your loved ones to be able to attend. Once you've decided on a date, if you choose to send a save the date card, then you will have more time to send the actual invitations themselves out because your invited guests will already know to save that date, even if that's the only information you have provided them with. Once you've signed a contract with your venue. Once you've signed a contract and put a deposit down with your venue or venues, this is the point of the planning process that you can now begin to work on your invitations, as you will have all the information needed to go on the stationery. And 8 weeks prior is traditional. Okay, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. The invitations, in my opinion, sent out any later than 8 weeks in advance is erring on the side of rude. Remember, your guests may need to book accommodations, flights, transportation, shop for attire, and a gift. You want to give your guests as much time as possible to get their affairs in order and not wait until the last minute and have them scrambling and stressed out. Trust me, that's not how you want your wedding to be remembered. No matter what you choose, just make sure to not wait until the last minute to get this out, because you'll want to take into account for the time it takes for your guests to receive them and then get them back, and your venue and caterer require this information about 10 days prior before the wedding, and who wants the headache of calling 100 people to see if they got the invitation and if they're coming? Save yourself the headache and prepare them early enough so you're not scrambling. Now let's discuss what to include. Now, let's talk about what goes on the actual invitation. What's required is your full names. You need to let them know it's a wedding, your wedding date, and the times written out where the ceremony address is. And if you don't have it yet, at least the city and state. The reception address, again, the city and state. An RSVP date, and you'll want to put a month and a date. And optional are your parents' names. Moving right along. Now for a list of stationery items that you may or may not choose to include with your invitation stationery. And that's your invitation, your wedding website card, your response card, enclosure cards, ceremony and reception detail cards, directions card, an accommodations card, a wedding events card, a weekend activity schedule, a day after brunch information, pre-wedding get-together information, and a belly band. So now that you have a better idea of when to send them and what to include, let's talk about etiquette for a moment. First, you'll want to make sure you address them properly. Address your invitations correctly to each guest by name, not "and guest," and they will understand that the invite is meant for only those mentioned. Your return addresses. The return address usually goes on the back flap of the envelope. Also, the return address used should be that of the person or persons whom you've designated to receive response cards. Postage. A lot of couples forget this important step, and it's worth mentioning because your guests should not have to go out of their way to return your RSVP card. Make sure that you also put postage on the return reply envelope to make it easy for them to just drop it in the mailbox. Adding your gift registry info. I cannot say this enough. Leave it off. This is not the place for it. You don't want your guests thinking you're just inviting them for a gift. There are plenty of other opportunities to let your guests know about your registry. Plus ones. When it comes to plus ones, If you just don't have it in the budget and someone asks if they can bring a plus one, simply explain you're having an intimate wedding and unfortunately you are not able to invite everyone with a guest. No additional conversation should be required. Addressing it's an adult-only wedding. If you find that some reply with their children's names added, give them a call and explain you're having an adults-only wedding and you hope they can still attend. If there are a lot of kids in your family, you may want to consider hiring or arranging for a babysitter. And your dress code. On the lower right-hand corner of the invitation or on a reception card, black tie, cocktail attire, or casual attire are all acceptable places for you to address your dress code. Next, let's review the proper way to address your invitations. Here, you can see the proper way to address your invitations by circumstance. And just as a reminder, if you go to the download section of this lesson, I have included a PDF version of this template for you to print out when you're ready to begin addressing your invitations, if you are doing them yourself. Now, I wanted to go over with you the different types of stationery available so you can decide if you will need it or not. Some of the stationery items you may want to send out before the wedding are save the dates. Save the dates lets your friends and family know the date of your wedding, the location, at least the state, your wedding website if you've made one, and it also lets them know a formal invitation will follow. Your engagement party invitations let your invited guests know the date, time, location, who the engagement party is being hosted by, and your registry information. Your bridesmaid and groomsmen invites are invitations asking them to be part of the wedding, and they're usually sent with a small gift. You may choose to do a proposal box asking your bridesmaids and groomsmen to be a part of your bridal party. The bridal shower invitations let your guests know the date, time, location, who it's being hosted by, your registry information, and these should be sent by whomever hosts the bridal shower. Your bachelor or bachelorette party invites let your invited guests know who the party's for, what the date is, the time, the location, who it's being hosted by, and their contact information, and these should also be sent by the host. Your rehearsal dinner invitations let your invited guests know your names, the date, the time, the ceremony location and address, the venue address, an RSVP date, and who to RSVP to. Now let's go over what stationery you may want for the actual wedding day. Your ceremony programs let your invited guests know the order of the ceremony, the wedding party information, and your reception information. Table number cards let your invited guests know which table is which. Escort cards let your invited guests know which table they will be seated at. Your menus let your invited guests know how many courses there will be and what food choices are available. Signage lets your invited guests know times of events, drinks that are offered, or any information you would like them to know. A seating chart lets your invited guests know where they will be sitting if you do not use escort cards. Favor tags are small tags you can add to your wedding favors, thanking guests for joining you in your special day and can include your names and wedding date. Now, to go over some stationery items you may need after the wedding. Thank you cards. These are notes sent to your guests after the reception, thanking them for attending as well as their gift. Change of name or address cards are cards you can send to anyone letting them know you've changed your name and your new address if you didn't already live together or have moved elsewhere. Personalized stationery is typically letterhead with both of your names on it. Address labels are labels with both of your names on it, used for mailing letters and correspondence. So here's what's trending in wedding stationery now. Creative place cards like vases, plants, or edibles. Invitations made of fabric, wood, or stone. Elaborate escort card displays. And lucite invitations and place cards. Now for some tips on how to save some cash on your stationery. Go paperless for just about everything except the invitation and thank you card. Printing your own with a home computer and printer will save you the labor cost of having someone else do it. If you use a stationery store for all of your items, they can usually offer you a discount for multiple print jobs. And check out Etsy. Wedding stationery, if you check it out there, you'll find a lot of cool options from small businesses that can save you some cash. So, that's it for this lesson. Can't wait to see you in the next.